Anyway, what are you reviewing?
I'll be reviewing the big release of the week.
Yes.
It says here, Minions: The Rise of Gru.
We'll be back after this. After this.
After this.
After that.
All right, who let the kid in?
I thought he was a tiny man.
What's wrong with you? You seriously think a puny little child can be a villain?
Yes, I am pretty despicable. You don't want to cross me?
Evil is for adults who steal powerful ancient stones and wreak havoc. And not for tubby little punks who should be at school, learning, taking a recess. Sucking his thumb.
That's fantastic. I want to now see the whole thing. But you have seen the whole thing.
I have seen the whole thing. So, well, firstly, we know what I feel about Minions from way back. So this is the latest Minions feature film, Illumination! So we first met Minions in Despicable Me in 2010, which I think that was directed by Pierre Caffin and Chris Renaud, who you interviewed.
So you tell me.
In 2015.
It's a long time ago.
I know, but I can't believe that you could possibly forget that you had done that. Then they reappeared in Despicable Me 2 in 2013. 2015, they got their own movie, the Minions movie, which was Pierre Caffin and Carl Balder. And then there was another... maybe it was Carl Balder that you interviewed. No, it was Carl Balder. I beg your pardon. It was you interviewed Pierre Caffin and Carl Balder. And then there was another Despicable Me. This now is the sequel to the 2015 prequel Minions movie.
If it's the sequel to the prequel, that makes it the original.
Well, because no, it's not. It's not sequel enough to be the original. So so original is here.
Yes.
Prequel is here.
So your
this
hands
is good
are now
radio,
about
isn't it? Yeah.
A foot
and
apart.
so sequel to the prequel is there,
3 inches apart.
So we're still in the 1970s.
Right.
So it picks up after the Minions movie. Gru, voiced by Steve Carell, I think he's 11 3/4. Suburban kid who dreams of joining the supervillain league, the Vicious Six. And he gets the chance when they oust their leader. But things go badly wrong in the interview, as you just heard. That was the clip of him going for the interview for the thing. Meanwhile, the Minions have turned up on his doorstep and have become his minions. And through a convoluted plot twist, there is a kind of amulet which has been stolen by the original Vicious Six's leader, and he ends up stealing it, and then one of the minions has it, and then they lose it, and then everybody's after him. The minions are trying to find the thing and get it back. He, meanwhile, gets kidnapped, but teams up with it. Yeah, so the plot, as you can tell, is the kind of standard... I'm sorry.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, what exactly is going on? Voice cast includes Alan Arkin as Wild Knuckles, Taraji B. Henson as Bell Bottom, who becomes the new leader of the Vicious Six, Michelle Yeoh as Master Chow, who teaches the minions Kung Fu, the RZA as Otto, who's a biker, Jean-Claude Van Damme as Jean-Claude, who has a claw,
right?
Dolph Lundgren as a Russian roller skating vicious member called Svengeance. It's a good gag,
okay,
sorry.
Yeah.
Danny Trejo as Stronghold, who's got metal hands. Lucy Lawless as Nun Chuck, who is a nun with nunchuck.
In that clip, I saw there was a nun. I imagine that's her.
Nunchuck. Russell Brand as the younger Dr. Nefario, and Judy Andrews as Gru's mum. So, actually, most of those people have very little to do. I mean, the kind of the Jean-Claude and all the rest of it, it's like a couple of lines, absolutely tops. And in the end, none of it matters. What matters is this. We had Rowan Atkinson in last week, and we talked about slapstick and the mechanics of slapstick. And the thing that I have always thought about Minions is that they are brilliant animated slapstick. There is just something about the way in which the Minions' physical and verbal comedy works. That, I mean, even the verbal comedy is slapstick because obviously they talk gibberish. When they talk, what sounds like different linguistic denominations of gibberish, but it's gibberish and it's speeded up, but it has kind of cadence and all the rest of it. But there is something about the Minion slapstick that just tickles my funny bone. And the movie's 90 minutes long, and I think I probably laughed for about a good 3/4 of those. The stuff that's kind of that I'm less interested in is the plot, the mechanics of the plot, the thing about the what's it, we've got to get the thing, we've got to go over here, they've ousted them, blah, 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 blah. Fine, I've got no problem with it. The film starts with a kind of Bond gag opening. Incidentally, the is in the beginning of the movie.
Right,
yeah, it's a
okay.
great big large fart gun thing, and then there's a Bond opening with the minions doing all the sort of what would usually be the Bond girl shapes that happen. But done
the raunchy,
but
bit,
done by
yes.
minions. And then later on, there's a gag in which they go to see Jaws, and they need to get the cinema's full, and they want the cinema to be empty, so they throw in a fart bomb. So then everybody leaves, and then they watch it while wearing gas masks. But the rest of it is just, I do think that the Minion slapstick is hilarious. And I think it's hilarious because I really, really love great physical comedy. And I know it's animated. I know it's a series of still images that create the illusion of movement. Oh. But this series of still images creating this illusion of movement just works for me. It's like a balm for my soul. Honestly, it's probably not for me up on a par with the first Minion standalone movie. But, these are difficult times, and these are dark times in many ways. There are things going on in the world that are very distressing and disturbing. 90 minutes of watching the Minions do the thing that the Minions do has put a spring in my step that in a way kind of defies reviewing. All I can say is I laughed and I laughed and I laughed and I smiled and then I laughed some more. And yeah, some of it was noises, which are always funny, but an awful lot of it is whenever you have the scenes of the Minions, there's always the Minion in the front doing the thing, and then there'll be another Minion to the side doing something else. And you remember Rowan Atkinson, we talked about this earlier, Rowan Atkinson talking about that thing about Jacques Tati setting up a gag that you can see coming from miles away. The way in which the Minion slapstick gags work are that literally Minions will come on and drag on a piece of equipment and drag on they will like construct the gag in front of your eyes and then you laugh. And I know it's mechanical. The thing about slapstick, as we said last week, is that you can never be slapdash about slapstick. But it's like Tom and Jerry. Somehow they've struck on a formula of entertainingly daft violence that works brilliantly. And the other reason it works is because the Minions themselves are so smiley and happy and they keep referring to Gru as mini boss because he's only a kid. Stop calling me mini boss. And I can't do the Minions voice, partly because you have to speed it up in order for it to work. I sat down, said, okay, right, fine, here we go. Make it work. And the first 5 minutes, there was other stuff going on, sort of setting up the plot. Okay, I didn't know we want that. And then the Minions started doing the stuff, and I just laughed like an idiot. And I feel slightly lightheaded even recalling it now because it just works. It's just slapstick comedy that is made by people who understand how slapstick comedy works. Slapstick comedy is not narrative driven. It's a series of interlocking sequences that have their own internal logic. During the course of a 90-minute movie, that internal logic kind of snowballs and becomes more absurdist. And there is a spectacularly absurdist climax. And there's an Exorcist joke in it. There's a joke about Kill Bill. None of that matters. There's loads and loads of cine-literate nods and references, but none of that matters. That's not what makes... I'm not laughing because I think that's the greatest indication. There is a gag in the film that is clearly a gag about Ellen Burstyn going upstairs and opening the door of Reagan's bedroom and seeing something horrible. And the reason it's funny is not because there's an Exorcist gag in there, but it's because in other scenes, Minions are hitting each other on the head with. There's a bit when one of them's being interrogated and they're shaking him by his dungarees, and then we go goes off, and he gets up, and then he starts shaking him by his dungarees, and then into the left of frame comes in another Minion with a baseball bat, and I just thought. That is such a well-constructed joke.
When you arrive at a party and everyone has been drinking for about
is that
2
what I sound
hours, and you're the sober one. I feel as though I'm which is true because you've been to see, you're punch drunk because you've been to see the Minions, and I'm the one that's been sitting here going, okay, well, I want to see the Minions.
And can we say, for the purpose of this recording, how this has worked out? Can we reveal? Okay, so I literally finished seeing the Minions movie 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, so we paused the recording. You went to see it because that's the only time you could see it. And then you've just come back.
Just to be clear, what happened was you said, here's a clip. And at the point when you said, here's a clip,
you got on a bike.
I got on a motorbike, drove to Universal, went in, saw the movie, laughed like an idiot, came out, got on a motorbike, came back, and walked into the studio and picked up after the clip.
And I'm still here. I moved.
Exactly, you were still here doing stuff.
I had a bacon roll and I did some prep for another show.
And I do feel slightly punch drunk, and that's how I want to feel after a Minions movie.
Minions: The Rise of Gru. Will it be album movie of the week? We'll find out